Alright folks, today we have a Stihle chainsaw in the shop and we are going to remove this brake handle here. You can see it's pretty much snapped right here, which is a common issue with these saws. But I'm going to show you how to replace this. And the new one is right there. And take those off. You'll turn them to the left. And we'll just pull our bar and chain off, set that aside. I'm going to spin this around here. And we got the hex head in here, holding the handle on this side. So you go ahead and take your tool, stick that in there, and you'll turn that to the left to loosen it. Being that my handle is already broken, that's just going to come off just like that. The next thing we're going to do is, you got these little tiny bolts right here, these little hex heads. I'm going to go ahead and take those off so that we can remove this cover here. There's one. You got two, and now we got one up here. I think that's the last of them. Now this thing's going to feel like it's jammed on there. You're going to think that you're missing a bolt somewhere or something, but you want to get a little tiny screwdriver, and you basically want to go around and try to loosen this cover up. Alright, try to get it down in there. And pry up on it. There it goes. And it will come off. Alright, and you can see inside of here, it doesn't really get cleaned much, so now's a good time to clean all that. But right here is where you want to take a picture before you start taking stuff apart, so you know how to, you know, how it was when you put it back together. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is, there's a little C-clip on here. I don't know if you can see it. We're going to take our screwdriver, it's right there, and I'm going to have to set my camera down, but basically I'm going to push this C-clip that way towards the front of the saw, and just kind of hold your hand right here because those things will go flying. I'm going to push that C-clip off of there. That's what the clip looks like there. And again, that was right on there. You just take a screwdriver and you can kind of push on it, and you'll be able to pry that clip off of there. Yeah, sorry about that alarm that keeps going off. I gotta change the battery. So this whole assembly actually is gonna come out together. So the next things we gotta do is we get this long spring here. We're gonna have to get a set of needle nose pliers, and we're gonna need to pull that spring off of this here. And then we're gonna have to detach this one on the bottom here, okay? Another reason you want to take a picture of this is because when this goes back together, you don't want to have this linkage going the wrong way, because it is possible to put this in the wrong way. All right, let's go ahead and get this spring off. And if yours is like mine, where the brake is still engaged, just take some pressure off the spring and disengage it like that. See how it went backwards? So it took some tension off of the spring now. Now I'll go ahead and take that off. See, I don't know if I can do this with one hand or not with this camera, but we will see. Sorry about that, and kind of missed it. I wish you didn't. There's another way to do this. You can actually, well, you see that little steel dowel right there? It was sitting in the middle of this prior to when I set the camera down. To get these off even easier, I just put my flathead under here, and I pried up on this whole mechanism. And the whole thing just kind of came off. Alright, so that took even more tension off of these springs. So now you should be able to pull those off of there. Alright. I'm really hacking up this video here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to show you the best I can with one hand. So the top one's off of there. And here's our bottom one down here. You can see that it comes out. And this whole thing slides up. Alright, now, again, you want to remember which way this is going, because we're about to slide this linkage out. And once you set it down, it may turn over or whatever. Here's our new handle here. So what we're going to do is this. Just watch, you can slide this right out. Alright, see the hole right there? Well, that's where it lines up right in that one. So we're going to take this, slide it exactly on this direction onto the new handle. Alright, we're going to slide it right down in there. There we go. It's lined up on the new one, just like that. The hardest part is getting this brake back on, because it's really tight getting it over top of this. And I started putting it on, and I wanted to stop where I was to show you. See, now this side over here, see this has a little bit of a lip. And what I had to do was take a pry bar, this little orange pry bar I got here, and I had to pry out on this handle while I pushed down to get it to drop down over this. All right, then I came over to this side and I used this handle here and stuck this underneath of this side to pry down to get this to come out over this lip here and drop down. So now I'm still not all the way on, but now there it goes. It just clicked in there. If you're having a problem getting this to drop down on there, let me show you what you got to do. The problem is, you see this arm back here? All right, let me get the pick in there, I'll show you. It's that arm right there, okay? I had to put my pick in here and pull down on that arm. I had to pull down. There's a little black spring in there, you can see on the other end of that arm. Well, you need to pull down on that so that this black piece will drop, so that the rest of this handle will finish dropping down, because it gets caught up on this piece right here. See this piece with the numbers on it? Well, it's actually it was hitting that piece, and it wouldn't fall down on this little shaft here. So get a pick and get in there and pull that spring downwards, that whole assembly, and it'll allow this to slide down onto that shaft. And now your linkage right here is going to kind of be bound up in there. It's going to be kind of tight. So you want to pull your handle back and forth so you can move that linkage around and line this hole up with that next shaft. Okay? And make sure that that slides on there. Okay, just like that. Once you have it all seated on there, in order to get this brake band back on the, turn this light on here, back on that bottom clip there, what you got to do is you got to remove the brake band. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty hard trying to pry this back on there. So, depending on what saw you have, this one here has a little star bit there. We're going to need to take that out because you can see it's going through the brake band up around and it's holding it on there. So we're going to take that out and we're going to pull the brake band off real fast. Once you have that pried up a little bit, you can pretty much take a set of needle nose and you can continue pulling the band the rest of the way out of there. Just like that. Now what you want to do is take your brake band and you want to kind of hold it sideways. Go up on an angle like that and hook it in there like that. Okay. And now you want to go ahead and put your brake band back on here and feed it back through all the channels here. And just push it all down in there. On this particular saw, you can see this one has a little dowel right there where it actually slides down in there. Alright, but that's all back on and that's connected. So we'll go ahead and put your screw back in there on the bottom if you had one there that you took out before we go to the next step. Now when you're putting this spring back on, what you want to do is you're going to be tempted to grab it from the end hook here with a pair of pliers and pull. Well, the pliers are always going to be in the way. So go down to your first coil, put a screwdriver in there, wedge a screwdriver in there, and turn your screwdriver and kind of pry a little bit to make a gap. Once you have a gap on that first coil, you can take your needle nose and put it in that gap. So now it's not going to be in the way of your hook. And it's going to take a little bit of strength, but you're going to need to pull this back while holding the saw to drop it around that pin there. And that'll get this spring back on. And now just engage it and disengage it and make sure everything is working properly. Okay, you can see the clutch is tight there, and now it's free. Just make sure it's all working. Nothing came disconnected when you're attaching other things and jerking this thing around. But that's pretty much it. You go ahead and put your cover back on, put your bar and chain back on. And that's how you install the the brake on a Stihle chainsaw. And as always, guys, it means a lot to me. It's very important if you could just take 2 seconds and hit that subscribe button below and give me a like, and I'll see you guys next time.